So in the previous video, we had a look at F1, F2, F3 and F4. And in today's video, we're going to look at F5, F6 and F7. I can find the next two terms of a sequence that crosses 0. Now remember your three key steps: sequence, arrows and rule. So we've got a sequence 25, 10, -5, -20, so on and so on. So the first thing we need to do is draw our arrows. The next thing we need to do is find our rule. Now remember, our rule here is going to be -15 because our sequence here is decreasing, so we need to subtract each time. So to find our first missing term, we need to use our previous term, which is -20, and we need to subtract 15. Now, is the answer going to be -35 or is it going to be -5? So our answer is going to be -35, and the reason why is when we are subtracting, we are getting further away from 0 when it comes to negative numbers. We would have had -5 if we are adding or getting closer to 0, so we keep the -35. So using that, we can find our second missing term. So the -35 is our previous term, then we must subtract 15, and our answer is going to be -50. So if I take note of these two, my first missing term is going to be -35 and the second missing term is -50. So in this case, the fifth term is -35 and our sixth term is going to be -50. Here's a question for you to try. Pause the video here. Here's the solutions. Make sure that you self-assess your work. Be really careful about your rule here. You should have got that you're subtracting 6 each time and not a +6. That's the end of F5, and we are now ready to move on to F6. I can find the next two terms of a negative sequence. So remember those three key steps: sequence, arrows and your rule. So our sequence here reads as follows: -16, -12, -8, so on and so on. So the first thing you must do is you need to draw your arrows. Once we've done that, we need to find the rule again between each individual term. So our rule here is we're adding 4 each time and we're not subtracting 4. Be really careful. As you can see, we are getting closer to 0 and not further away from 0. So to find our first missing term, we need to use our previous term, which was -8, and then we need to add 4, which would give us -4. Once we've done that, we need to then use the previous term, which is -4, add the 4 to find our second missing term, which is 0. Taking a note of both of that, our first missing term is -4 and our second missing term is 0. So here we can see our fourth term is -4 and our fifth term is 0. Here's a question for you to try. Pause the video here. Here's the solutions. Make sure that you self-assess your work. Again, be really careful. We are adding 11 and not subtracting 11. As we can see, our sequence here is getting closer to 0 and not further away from 0. That's the end of F6, and we are now ready to move on to F7. I can find the next two terms of a pictorial sequence. So whether we are dealing with a pictorial or a numerical sequence, we still need to use our three key steps: sequence, arrows and rule. Here are some pattern of dots. So we've got a pattern of dots below. We've got pattern number 1, pattern number 2 and pattern number 3. And we can count the dots to check how many dots there are in each pattern as well. Find the next two terms in the pictorial sequence. So we are asked to find pattern number 4 and pattern number 5. So the first thing we need to do is, below our pictorial sequence, we need to write a numerical sequence, arrows and our rule. So let's count the pattern of dots. For the first one, we can see there are 4. For the second pattern, we can see that there are 7. And for the final one, for pattern number 3, we can count to see that there are 10 number of dots. Once we've done that, we then display our arrows, and we can see that to get from one number to the next number, we can see that we are adding 3. Let's now consider the following question. What is happening to each picture as the terms increase? So we can see in pattern number 2, we had the 4 dots that we had in pattern number 1. and we've added on 1 dot to the top, 1 to the side and 1 at the bottom. In pattern number 3, we used the patterns in the previous term, which was 7, and we added 1 to the top, 1 to the side and 1 on the bottom. And that is where the 3 came from that we are adding each time. Now moving on, we can see that we are adding 1 horizontally and we're adding 2 vertically, so 1 at the top and 1 at the bottom. So we need to make sure we are looking carefully at where we are adding the numbers on. Let's have a look at how we're going to draw pattern number 4. So the first thing we do is we draw pattern number 3. Once we've drawn that, we need to then add 1 to the top, 1 to the side and 1 to the bottom. That would give us pattern number 4, and we can see we've got 13 dots in total. So we've got 10, add the 3, which gives us 13, and you can count that as well to double check that you have got the 13 dots as well. Let's now draw pattern number 5. So pattern number 5, same thing, we need to make sure we draw pattern number 4, which is our previous term. Once we've done that, we need to then add on our extra dots on the top, the side and to the bottom, and that gives us our pattern number 5. So 13 add the 3 would give us 16, and we can double check and count that we have got a total number of 16 dots as well. And if you wanted, you could keep going and finding as many patterns as you can. Here's a question for you to try. You've got pattern 1, 2 and 3 and you're asked to find the next pictorial sequence. As an extension, see if you can draw pattern number 5 as well, and pause the video here. Here's the solutions. Make sure that you self-assess your work. Before we start looking at solutions, remember that these are individual pattern of sticks and they are not triangles and squares. So we've got a numerical sequence here below, and we can see that the rule to get from one term to the next term is we are adding 6. So the 6 is coming from adding 3 sticks to the top and 3 sticks to the bottom. So we do the same thing to find pattern 4 and pattern 5. So pattern 4, we add 3 to the top and 3 to the bottom using pattern 3. And for the extension, using pattern 4, you need to add 3 sticks to the top and 3 sticks to the bottom. So a total of 26 in pattern number 4 and a total number of 32 in pattern number 5. And again, to double check your answers, remember you need to count that you have got the correct number of sticks in each pattern that you've drawn. That's the end of F7, and it's the last topic that we will be covering today. So today we've done F5, F6 and F7. Here's our beat the clock for today. For the first question, you need to define what a term-to-term rule is. Then you need to find the next 4 terms and the term-to-term rule for both these questions. Then you need to find the missing gaps and the term-to-term rule for both these questions. And finally, you've got a pictorial sequence and you need to find the next 2 patterns as well. Give yourself a maximum of 6 minutes and time yourself. Pause the video here. Here's the solutions. Make sure to self-assess your work. So if you got the first question correct, then you would have mastered a concept type of question. And if you got the next 4 couple of questions correct, then you would have mastered an F5 and an F6 type of question. So remember to find the first 4 terms and your rule. In this part, you need to find all of your missing gaps. That includes the boxes and the dots as well. So you need to also find all of those terms. For the final question, we are asked to find the next 2 pictorial sequences, and we are given 3 sequences already. So make sure you write down your numerical sequence, and we need to find pattern number 4 and pattern number 5. So we need to find where we're getting the 4 that we are adding from, and we can see that we're drawing a dot on either side of the X. So that means we can see we're adding 4 in our rule as well. And we can draw pattern number 5 by using pattern number 4 and then adding on our 4 dots. And that will be the end of today's lesson.